Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome, everyone, to the deep dive. This is where we plunge headfirst into some really fascinating source material, aiming to give you the clearest, most engaging understanding possible. And today, wow, we're taking a truly harrowing journey into Chris Stone's short story, Awake. Now, this isn't just any story. It's a real standout piece from his collection, Dark Passages. It's available as an ebook. You can find it on Amazon. So our mission today is to really dissect the utterly terrifying experience of our protagonist, Logan. We'll be digging into his spiraling perception of reality, the truly bizarre characters he bumps into, and honestly, trust me on this, there's a shocking twist at the end that just redefines everything you thought you knew about his world. It's a unique challenge, isn't it? Trying to figure out what's actually real when you're sort of steeped in Logan's deteriorating mind. So get ready, because this deep dive is definitely going to challenge your assumptions about memory perception, maybe even the very nature of existence. We promise those aha moments will hit you hard as we, piece together the puzzle of Logan's unraveling.
Yeah, absolutely. And what truly elevates Awake, I think beyond just a simple horror story, is its relentless deconstruction of reality itself. It really is a masterclass in psychological suspense, not just because it shows Logan's mind kind of unraveling, but because it subtly forces your mind, as the listener, to unravel right alongside his. It creates this unique, almost visceral doubt about everything you thought was true.
That's a great point. How does it do that?
Well, a lot of it is down to the brilliant use of the unreliable narrator trope. That storytelling device where the narrator's credibility is seriously compromised. It makes you, the listener, constantly question the truth of what they're telling you. Stone just masterfully plays with these themes: reality, memory, control. He invites you to question absolutely everything Logan experiences right along with him. It's a very active listening experience. It really pulls you into his subjective nightmare.
You've set the stage perfectly. It pulls you in all right. The story immediately plunges us right into Logan's desperate state. So yeah, the narrative opens and Logan is trapped in this relentless, just tormenting loop. It's the exact same vivid, repetitive dream every single night for 3 weeks straight.
3 weeks.
Yeah. It's described as an OCD dream, a truly inescapable obsessive cycle that's just consuming his every waking moment. How does Stone immediately establish that psychological torment? How does he make us feel his nightmare right from the very start?
Well, right from the first few pages, Stone just immerses us in Logan's profound physical and psychological deterioration. This isn't merely psychological torment, it's actually manifesting physically.
Yeah.
And in these really grotesque, kind of visceral ways.
Oh, yeah, it's rough.
It really is. Logan wakes up to this harsh, biting morning light that makes his head pound. He can't breathe properly, feels these dry, crusty globs of solidified snot and blood clogging his nose. It's graphic. And then he projectile vomits. Just this gory, horrendous spray of blood and mucus. Linda Blair would be jealous, the story says.
Wow.
Yeah. It leaves his throat raw, burning, with this persistent taste of blood. His body's basically actively rebelling,
Yeah.
It's signaling this profound internal breakdown that has already compromised his reality before we even get much further. This immediate jarring depiction of his physical symptoms, it makes the dream feel less like just a mental thing and more like a physical assault. It really blurs those lines right from the outset. It's incredibly effective at making you feel his suffering.
It certainly does, and you've perfectly highlighted how the physical horror just mirrors the psychological. It's intense. So with that as his baseline reality, his quote-unquote normal life, this soul-crushing corporate desk job at Ultra Mega Co., it seems less like a break and more like just another layer of his prison, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He's been stuck there for 10 years, no advancement, clinging to this unyielding routine, same breakfast, same coffee, same drive, despite traffic warnings. He even identifies himself as a corporate zombie. Feels like his will has been sucked away. What's so striking about this daily grind, and how does it contribute to his unraveling?
Well, it's fascinating how Stone uses the utterly mundane to actually amplify the horror. Logan's corporate life is this perfect analogy for his subconscious mind being, as the story puts it, stuck like tires in the mud.
Mm-hmm.
He desperately clings to this routine, right? Even when the radio is literally begging him to avoid traffic jams, because it represents this desperate, almost futile attempt at control in a life that feels utterly out of his grasp.
Yeah, that makes sense. Control.
But the irony is just palpable. The very routine he seeks for comfort is actually driving him further into madness. It's making him even more vulnerable to the dream's obsessive grip. He's resigned to mediocrity, the story notes. He views his life as something blood sacrificed to the gods of mediocrity. This complete lack of agency, even in his waking life, it just primes him for the deeper delusions that are coming. He's already kind of a walking ghost detached from his own life.
Like that stock image on his computer screen, the free climber.
Exactly. That image of the man free climbing a cliff on his monitor, it just highlights his own trapped feeling. He's already so susceptible to whatever twisted reality is about to unfold. He's physically neglected 2 unpressed shirts, unshaved, bloodshot eyes.
Right, comparing himself to Rain Man or some idiot savant because of the lack of sleep. He feels stuck in life's little niche, no moment of clarity.
Precisely. He's set up for a fall.
I agree, the corporate zombie description really, really sticks with you. So, okay, as Logan's interior world is collapsing and his external life offers absolutely no relief, the story doesn't let up at all. In fact, it starts introducing these profoundly strange external elements, things that seem to either reflect or maybe even accelerate his internal chaos. What's the first major, bizarre encounter that truly stands out to you? How does it play into his deteriorating grasp on reality?
Oh, the highway encounter for sure. That's truly the first significant external crack in his reality. It's chilling. Logan's driving, right? He's still got the tissue crammed in his nose from the constant nosebleeds.
Yeah, gross.
Totally. And he locks eyes with this woman in the next lane. She's in a, quote, scared red and dented Honda Civic. Her eyes are like slits from lack of sleep. Her eyelids, the color of bruised bananas. And here's the kicker.
What?
She has the same tissue cone crammed in her nose, the same bloody nose stopper that Logan had in his.
No way. Seriously.
Seriously. And as they roll down their windows, it's described as this grotesque blood and mucus greeting. What makes this so impactful, so unsettling, is that it's a moment of shared, explicit suffering. It's terrifying validation for Logan. Maybe he's not alone in this bizarre physical torment.
But can she talk to her?
Well, that's the thing. Despite the clear urgency in her face, her haunting mouth dance, the traffic noise just drowns out her incredibly important mumbled words. He can't make them out. So this inability to fully connect, even despite these shared very specific symptoms, it just underscores his profound isolation. And it introduces this new layer of unsettling pattern recognition for Logan. His mind, already prone to these obsessive loops, immediately latches on to this new disturbing commonality.
Wow. Yeah, that's deeply unsettling. And the unsettling auditory backdrop at his job, that only makes things worse, doesn't it? This feeling of growing internal and external pressure. He's subjected to this constant white noise from the speaker PA system. Starts precisely at 9:25 a.m., drones on for 7 hours. He wants to drive pencils into each of its holes. He even compares it to Chinese water torture, which is oddly specific, especially since he admits he's never been to China.
Right. That detail is telling.
How does this pervasive, irritating noise contribute to his fraying sanity?
Well, that PA system is definitely more than just an annoying background sound. It's like a constant external echo of Logan's internal obsessive loops. His brain is already, as the story says, skipping from obsession to obsession, just trying desperately to find anything to focus on besides the nightmares. And that metallic groan of the PA system acts as this constant low-level irritant. It prevents any true peace, any clarity. It's almost an auditory representation of his deteriorating mental state, where his own thoughts are becoming as inescapable and maddening as that relentless drone. It's subtle, but it's a really effective way to portray how his environment itself is kind of conspiring against his fragile mind, pushing him further into isolation and delusion.
That's a great point about his environment mirroring his internal state. It really is like everything is closing in. And speaking of sensory assaults, his encounter with Audrey Perkins in the cafeteria, that's another moment that really highlights his increasing detachment, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, Audrey.
Yeah, she approaches him, trailing this cacophony of noxious mixtures of perfumes and body products. It's overwhelming. Logan physically drops his fork right into his mashed potatoes. His olfactory sense is overpowered, and he just tunes her out completely, right? Fixated on the PA system instead. What does this seemingly mundane interaction reveal about his isolation and how he sees himself?
It reveals just how deeply entrenched Logan is in his own misery at this point. He's so physically nauseated by the smell and mentally preoccupied with his own internal chaos. He literally can't even engage in a simple casual social interaction. He perceives Audrey not really as a person, but as this source of putrid, flowery stench. And he thinks of her as a bigger loser than himself, which really highlights his own plummeting self-esteem and his increasing, misanthropy.
Pushing everyone away.
Exactly. This moment just reinforces his detachment from the world around him. And his perception of himself as a loser further solidifies his isolation, pushing him deeper into his own distorted reality. He's already so lost in his internal chaos that the external world just serves as further irritation rather than any potential source of connection.
Which brings us to another really pivotal and, frankly, pretty disgusting moment. The bathroom incident.
Yeah, the bathroom.
Logan retreats to the, quote, stale, flat shit smell of the common lunch bathroom, where he's just violently ill again, vomiting chunked, floating hunks. But it's what he sees on the stall wall that really grabs his attention, right? This unsettling graffiti.
The message.
Yeah, it reads, "You are a mindless corporate drone. You are the new enslaved race. You work because you are in debt. You are in debt because you work. Reject your God." What's the significance of finding that message right then, and how does it resonate with Logan's own internal struggle?
That graffiti is a profoundly significant moment, I think. It's like the first real external validation of Logan's deepest, most suppressed fears and resentments about his own life, his job, everything. It provides this fleeting but really unsettling moment of connection in his utterly alienated world. It suggests that someone else within Ultra Mega Co. feels this same deep disillusionment, this anger. It echoes his own self-identification as a corporate zombie, doesn't it?
It does, completely.
And while the message itself is incredibly dark and rebellious, for Logan, in that moment, it's a confirmation that his feelings of being caged, neutered, and depressed aren't unique just to him. It's a shared sentiment, maybe. And in his profound isolation, this provides a really strange, kind of distorted sense of validation. Like he's not totally crazy for feeling this way.
And it's right after that moment that things get truly bizarre. Because he has this shocking encounter with a woman named Leah. But the kicker is she's in the ladies' bathroom with him.
Right, which is immediately
totally weird. And Leah, she just mocks him, calls him random names like Clyde, Hank, Jack, describes his vomiting with this unnerving casualness, like, retching like that since my last trip to Margaretville. She mentions she works in IT, and her whole conversation style is just tangents, you know? It immediately sets her apart. What makes Leah's introduction such a crucial turning point? What does she represent for Logan here?
Leah's introduction is absolutely vital. She is Logan's first direct personal interaction outside his immediate circle of misery and, frankly, his corporate isolation. And she's such an enigma, isn't she? She's calm, seems insightful, but also incredibly quirky and direct, just completely unfazed by Logan's grotesque vomiting, almost finding humor in it. And that offhand statement she makes, "My brain has a way of getting away from itself sometimes."
Yeah, that stuck out to me too.
It perfectly mirrors Logan's own internal struggles, doesn't it? It subtly hints at maybe a shared experience of a fractured mind, although Logan doesn't grasp the full implication of that yet. Not even close. So, Leah represents this potential escape hatch from his mundane, tormented existence. She's a catalyst. She's pulling him into a new, even more perplexing reality.
Yeah.
One that seems to promise answers, but, as we'll see, delivers mostly deeper confusion.
That's a perfect description of her role, a catalyst into more confusion. So Leah then invites Logan up to the rooftop. And what he finds there is just astonishing. It's this hidden urban rooftop jungle, an interconnecting grid of wooden boxes just brimming with mature trees, forming this thick canopy. It's a total sanctuary from the oppressive Ultra Mega Co. below.
A completely different world up there.
Right. And Leah moves through this space with this effortless grace, spinning and dancing like some kind of forest sprite. Then she offers Logan an apple, calling it her forbidden fruit. And she teases him, right? "Now you're fucked. You've tasted the forbidden fruit. Now you'll be goddamn smitten with me."
What's the symbolism going on here with the garden and Leah's presence?
Oh, the symbolism of that rooftop garden as Logan's potential Eden is incredibly strong. It represents this hidden world, right? A place of escape, or perhaps even a source of hidden truth, totally tucked away from the soul-crushing corporate environment. And Leah, with her almost sprite-like quality, she just effortlessly draws Logan into this alternative reality. Her offering of the forbidden fruit apple, well, that carries a significant layer of foreshadowing, doesn't it?
Definitely feels loaded. It is. She's teasing him, yeah, but her words, "Now you're fucked."
Yeah.
They hint at a deeper, possibly quite dangerous transformation that's about to unfold for Logan. It suggests that once he engages with this new reality, this new influence, there's really no going back. His perception is going to be irrevocably altered. It sets the stage perfectly for the true unraveling. It's seductive, almost mythological, this entry point into chaos.
So Logan, who's always the reluctant participant in his own life, it seems, is then kind of cajoled by Leah into going out for NYC fun to cure his insomnia. He's tried everything else, apparently, so he's desperate, desperate to break the pattern. But Leah, she had that sway about her, that tone in her voice that could get men to do anything, that could lead them into war. He feels completely underdressed, out of place, looking at the blank and angry New Yorker faces, but he goes anyway. And this really sets the stage for the true turning point, doesn't it?
It really does. Because this is where the story introduces that truly powerful, reality-altering substance. Leah reveals her secret concoction. It's this tiny white caplet that literally melts in Logan's hands. She calls it a little slice of heaven, sunshine in our dark days.
Sunshine in our dark days.
Yeah. And what follows is just this profound sensory distortion for Logan. His hand starts blurring, colors intensify, everything looks like HD television for the first time. He feels this euphoric fourth beer buzz where everything seems perfect and sounds become exaggerated. This pill, it's such a crucial turning point because it utterly blurs the lines between dream, delusion, and external reality. It's presented as a cure, right? A journey to a higher plane.
Yeah.
But its immediate disorienting effects signal that Logan's perception of the world is about to be completely rewritten. It really sets the stage for the full impact of that unreliable narrator we talked about. This pill isn't just a substance. It feels like a key that unlocks or maybe even reconstructs Logan's reality.
And their destination, this house of self-discovery, it turns out it isn't a bar at all. It's a lower Manhattan flat. And it's filled with people sitting cross-legged on oriental rugs, each with a white plastic bucket in front of them, which is odd.
Very odd and ominous.
Yeah. And the guide, this guy named John, not Skeleton John yet, just John, he's described as average looking, but he paces with this captivating confidence, his white-toothed brilliance, the audience hanging on his every word with these cattle expressions. What's the significance of this house of self-discovery, and specifically John's monologue on time as a slaver?
Well, John's monologue on time as a slaver is incredibly pivotal here, especially considering Logan is under the influence of that pill. John argues that time is merely a human construct. He gives that example of how October 5th through 14th, 1582 supposedly never happened because of Pope Gregory changing the calendar. Now, this concept of fluid time, of manufactured reality, it immediately resonates with Logan's already compromised mental state, right? His own dreams are already blurring the lines of what's real and what's not.
Yeah, it feeds right into his confusion.
Exactly. And the audience's synchronized reaction, making that okay symbol to their foreheads, their wide agape mouths, it suggests this shared understanding or maybe some kind of ritualistic response to John's teachings. This entire scene, it strongly suggests that the pill is either genuinely opening Logan's mind to some new truths about reality, or it's simply confirming and amplifying his existing delusions, leading him deeper into this altered state where the boundaries of time and experience are totally fluid. It's a very unsettling moment because you, the listener, are left wondering, is this profound insight or is it pure manipulation?
And it's right then, as Logan closes his eyes during John's monologue, that his recurring nightmare takes this dramatic, altered turn. Everything moves in quarter speed. He sees the familiar elements, the platform, the lime green tiles, the little girl with the bear, the air-drumming teenager. But this time he's at the bottom of the escalator and he struggles to move, like wading through mud. Then comes that gut-wrenching choice. Save the little girl dropping her bear near the edge, or finally save the train diver woman, his incarnate nightmare. After, 100 nights of watching her die, he intervenes, he lunges, pulls the woman back just as the train arrives. She lands butt first on the platform. He's broken the loop, or so he thinks.
Logan's success in finally breaking that dream loop, it feels like this momentary triumph. But the woman's reaction immediately casts this chilling shadow on his accomplishment. Her words, "I really wish you hadn't done that," spoken in this low, almost emotionless voice. They're absolutely key.
Yeah, that's not the reaction you'd expect.
Not at all. She's angry. She actually wishes she could die. And then she reveals the truly horrifying detail. She's had this exact dream over 300 times, and Logan always stops her.
Always.
Always. This is the first incredibly strong hint of the story's ultimate twist, and it's just a gut punch. Logan isn't experiencing some unique premonition or psychic gift. He is, in fact, an unwitting participant in someone else's recurring nightmare. Or perhaps they're all trapped in some shared, inescapable loop together. This revelation completely upends his perception of his own suffering and the nature of his supposed gift. It lays the groundwork for the terrifying truth that is yet to fully unravel. It shifts the horror, doesn't it? From something external attacking him to something potentially shared and cyclical.
That shift from unique suffering to being just a character in someone else's nightmare, that is truly unsettling. Wow. And just when you think Logan might have found some kind of peace or at least some clarity, he experiences this jarring wake-up. He opened his eyes not in his own bed, but on the floor of Leah's apartment. He's naked beside her. and he has absolutely no memory of touching her.
The blackout.
Yeah, the room's a mess. Empty bottles, torn foil wrappers, and twisted plastic. Clearly drug paraphernalia. And then he stumbles upon a second bedroom with 3 other naked people in it, including a naked blonde woman and a naked man with bright red lipstick prints. He instantly thinks orgy. He realizes he slept through the entire night for the first time in months, but he has a complete blackout of at least 7 hours. What does this lost time, this inability to remember his actions, immediately sow in terms of doubt about his memory, about what he's truly capable of?
Well, this immediate confusion and panic upon waking are just absolutely critical for cementing him as an unreliable narrator. The lost time, his inability to remember engaging in sex with Leah, something he seems to assume happened in that disturbing orgy scene. They're profoundly unsettling. It's all designed to sow these deep seeds of doubt about his memory and his actions. Now, Leah's initial phone call seems to offer some reassurance, doesn't it? She confirms they had sex, she dismisses the others in the room, and she attributes his memory loss to the pill, saying it gives and takes.
Right. Convenient excuse.
Very convenient. And Logan feels this momentary relief. You can feel it. But those lingering questions, the huge gaps in his memory, the unsettling images he saw, they remain. So this sets up a profound contradiction. Logan wants to believe Leah, wants that simple explanation, but his own senses, the evidence he found, are already subtly undermining his narrative, paving the way for the shocking truth later on. It's a really brilliant way to make you, the listener, distrust Logan's perspective, even as you're experiencing everything through his eyes.
And as if his life wasn't already a living nightmare, a new nightmare begins almost immediately. This one features the Red Rocker, who we later learn is Monaco, or Mon scaling a fence on a freeway overpass and diving into traffic. And with this new dream, all the horrible physical symptoms come rushing back. The nosebleeds, the vomiting. He tries desperately to contact Leah, for answers, maybe more pills, but she's just gone. Not at work, not returning calls. It spirals him further into isolation and desperation. He sends those increasingly disturbing emails.
Yeah, the fake death certificate, the suicide hotline links. He's unraveling fast, and this new dream immediately signals that Logan hasn't escaped the cycle at all. He's merely entered a new one, maybe even a more terrifying one. And the story then throws him into an even more dangerous encounter, one that escalates the external threats and really hints at some larger conspiracy maybe. He meets John Twindle again, but this time he's barely recognizable. He's skeleton John, emaciated, missing teeth, completely paranoid, smelling foul.
Sounds awful.
And John warns Logan desperately about they. Says they can see you and will kill you. He implies Logan possesses what they want. It's this direct, chilling warning that Logan, in his current state, can barely even process because John seems so completely mad. Then in a truly ambiguous and shocking moment, JPL, Mr. Blue Jumpsuit, suddenly appears. He seems to save Logan from Skeleton John, who is then immediately shot dead by figures described as policemen, though it's heavily implied they are JPL's own men.
Wow, so JPL just orchestrated that.
It certainly looks that way. And JPL then tells Logan quite honestly that he owes him one. This whole sequence is crucial because it introduces this external, seemingly organized force that appears to be controlling or at least observing Logan's situation. It deepens the mystery and further blurs the lines of what is truly happening. Is JPL a savior, a manipulator, or something far, far more sinister?
Yeah, you owe me one after saving you from a guy who gets shot. That's creepy. Consumed by paranoia and fear now, Logan then embarks on this desperate investigation of his own. He completely isolates himself, unplugs all the clocks, smashes his watch, spray paints his windows black, trying to block out reality or maybe time itself. His apartment becomes this tiny white-walled room where he writes frantically on the walls with a Sharpie, just attempting to find some order in the chaos. He lists the victims he's dreamed about, his symptoms, and he creates this cast of characters. Leah, Serge, Skeleton John, who he crosses out, JPL, and SOH for Slice of Heaven, the pill. He concludes that JPL is the central player. What does this intense, isolated research reflect about his deteriorating mental state, and how does it set up the devastating truth?
Well, Logan's increasing paranoia and his desperate attempts to find order in this chaos are just heartbreaking to witness, especially because his physical decline is mirroring Skeleton John's earlier emaciated appearance. He literally sees his skeleton was my future. It's a chilling, self-fulfilling prophecy unfolding. He's grasping at threads, right, trying to impose logic on something fundamentally illogical or maybe supernatural. He's creating this conspiracy theory that he believes explains his suffering. And then JPL finds him, just appears at a coffee shop, cut straight to the chase. He confirms Logan is having the dreams, but calls them a blessing, not a curse. And then he offers him the job, working for his boss, in exchange for stopping the deaths.
The deal with the devil, maybe.
It feels like it. This deal is crucial because it promises Logan control, meaning purpose, in exchange for his unique gift. It seems to offer a path out of his nightmare, but in truth, as we suspect, it's leading him deeper into the mystery of his own fractured reality. JPL presents himself as his benefactor, but that shark-toothed grin remains incredibly ominous. It makes us really question his true intentions.
This job takes a truly horrifying turn almost immediately. JPL instructs Logan to take the pill, go to sleep, and just report his dream like it's intel gathering. Logan, desperate, takes the tiny white pill, notably, from Leah's candy dish, which she left him. He then dreams of Serge's apartment. He sees Monica, the red rocker, dead on the couch, and Serge, the big blonde Slav, crying, preparing to shoot himself. Logan tries desperately to intervene in the dream, but he's too late. As Serge pulls the trigger, Logan, in his fading dream state, catches a glimpse of the newspaper under Serge's head. And the date on it. It's tomorrow's paper.
Shelley's?
Yeah. This detail confirms absolutely for Logan that his dreams are not just dreams, they are true premonitions. He frantically calls JPL, reports the dream, and is reassured, told it's okay, basically. But then in this moment of maybe clarity or defiance, he writes JPL murderer on his wall. He flushes the remaining pills down the toilet and races to Leah's apartment, convinced now he has to save her from this sinister force he believes is controlling everything.
Right, the dream of Serge's suicide, especially coupled with that chilling detail of reading tomorrow's paper, it just firmly cements Logan's belief that his dreams are genuinely premonitions. He feels he has proof now. His immediate act of writing JPL murderer on his wall, it signifies this fleeting moment of clarity, maybe defiance, against what he perceives as JPL's sinister manipulation. Yet his subsequent actions, rushing to Leah's, flushing the pills, but then paradoxically calling JPL again for reassurance when he finds Serge dead, just as in the dream, they highlight the deep internal conflict and the fundamental unreliability of his own narrative.
He still calls JPL, even after writing murderer.
He does. He arrives at Leah's apartment, finds Serge dead exactly as he dreamed, and he calls JPL again. JPL offers the same smooth reassurances, even suggests maybe reducing the dosage of the pills to refine the process, make the dreams clear. This sequence starkly presents these two conflicting realities. Logan's perceived premonitions versus JPL's subtle guidance and manipulation. It deeply unsettles the listener and really hints that Logan might be more of a puppet than a prophet here.
And then we arrive at what I found to be the absolute gut punch of this entire story. The moment where everything Logan, and frankly we as listeners thought we knew about his reality, is just utterly shattered. He finally finds Leah back on the rooftop, the place that once offered him that fleeting sense of peace, that Eden. She's upset at first, then distraught, and then she just levels these utterly devastating accusations against him, shattering his entire narrative.
Yeah, this is the climax.
She tells him that he, Logan, is the one who kills her friends. The train diver woman, Monica, Serge, even that homeless man, Skeleton John. She accuses him of showing up smashed, hammered stone to the House of Self-Discovery that night, and that he gave them the pills, not the other way around.
A complete reversal.
Complete. And most horrifyingly, she accuses him of raping her that night, something he has absolutely no memory of. She claims he's been stalking her, threatening her friends with a knife, and for a terrifying moment, Logan actually sees a meat cleaver in his own hand before it vanishes. Leah implies his dreams aren't premonitions at all. They're hallucinations or fragmented, suppressed memories of his own horrific, violent actions. Logan, of course, tries desperately to deny it all, calls her delusional, insists he's just a lowly salesman at Ultra Mega Co. But the foundations of his reality have been utterly, utterly demolished.
This is the absolute climax of the unreliable narrator trope, isn't it? And it's just brutal.
Yeah.
A disorienting blow. Leah's accusations directly contradict Logan's entire self-perception and every single event he's recounted up to this point. It forces us, the listener, to completely reevaluate everything we've just heard. And that sudden, visceral vision of the meat cleaver in his hand, even if it's only momentary, serves to reinforce the terrifying idea that Logan's perception is deeply, fundamentally flawed. Or even worse, that he's capable of acts he simply cannot remember, or perhaps has actively chosen to suppress.
So the horror shifts.
Exactly. The true horror of the story shifts dramatically right here. It's no longer about external threats or sinister figures like JPL manipulating him. Instead, the chilling possibility emerges that Logan himself is the antagonist. A murderer trapped in a cycle of violence and profound delusion, potentially fueled by the very pills he thought were his salvation or the source of his premonitions. His own mind becomes the most terrifying place of all. It's just a gut-wrenching realization. It makes you want to go back and reread the entire story immediately, seeing every detail through this new, horrifying lens.
And the final chilling loop just seems to confirm this, doesn't it? Logan wakes up again, back in his dirty, dilapidated kitchen, having literally tumbled from his bed. He realizes he had that same goddamn dream again, the one of Leah on the rooftop screaming, cursing, accusing him of being a murderer, and then tragically hanging herself from the apple tree before he can stop her. This recurring dream is inescapable now, and what does he do? He reaches for his candy dish, takes out a tiny white pill, and swallows it, just like he's been instructed or conditioned to do. But before the pill can fully take hold, he falls asleep and begins a new recurring dream. This one is about a man in a business suit, this man being robbed and stabbed in a park, this titan of business, being killed and robbed by a vagrant and invisible assailant. The cycle, horrifyingly, just continues.
Yeah, the ending provides this definitive, deeply unsettling conclusion to the unreliable narrative. And it heavily implies the true nature of Logan's reality. That candy dish on his kitchen table, containing the very pills that seem to trigger his dreams, strongly suggests a controlled environment, doesn't it? Perhaps a mental health facility where he's being regularly medicated, his apartment, his job at Ultra Mega Go. They might be elaborate delusions or distant memories, or maybe even part of some therapeutic narrative constructed by the facility staff.
So JPL in the House of Self-Discovery
Would easily be staff and therapy sessions, reframed by his broken mind. His original OCD dreams could be distorted memories of past traumas he's committed, or simply a side effect of his medication, which seems less like a cure and more like a trigger for these hallucinatory or reenacted experiences. The recurring nature of the dreams, combined with the immediate onset of a new dream featuring a new victim right after he takes the pill, it powerfully points to Logan being trapped in this controlled loop, perpetually re-experiencing or hallucinating his own violent past actions. The true horror lies in his inescapable cycle of delusion and violence, completely unable to discern reality from his fabricated nightmares.
Wow, so after this incredible, intense journey through Awake, what does it all truly mean for us, the listeners? The story just masterfully manipulates our trust in Logan's perspective right from the very first page. As listeners, we're completely aligned with him. We feel his torment, his confusion. But then Leah's counter-narrative hits us like a freight train, doesn't it? Completely shattering his and our reality. So are Logan's dreams really premonitions? Is he some kind of psychic hotline to future tragedies? Or are they the terrifying reenactment of his own forgotten violence triggered by these mysterious slice of heaven pills? This story fundamentally questions the very nature of reality and memory itself.
And that's where the insidious nature of those pills comes into full view. They're presented initially as a potential cure, right? A path to clarity, a way to stop the deaths he's witnessing. Yet the ending strongly suggests they might be the very cause of his condition, or at the very least, a powerful means of control used by JPL and they, whoever they are, maybe the facility staff. Logan's increasing isolation and his shocking physical deterioration throughout the story, well, they can be interpreted as a manifestation of unacknowledged guilt, a subconscious protest against the horrors he may have actually committed. The story builds so subtly towards this horrific realization that Logan has likely been in a mental health facility for the duration of the narrative. His dreams are either vivid hallucinations or distorted memories triggered by his medication. That candy dish in the final scene is such a strong, chilling symbol of this controlled environment.
Yeah, it really lands hard at the end.
It does. The true horror isn't just the suicides Logan witnesses or dreams about. It's the gut-wrenching possibility that he might be directly responsible for them, trapped in this endless cycle of violence and delusion, unable to escape or even truly comprehend his own actions. It forces you to critically reevaluate every single detail Logan presented, looking for those subtle clues you might have missed the first time around. It makes his mind the true, dark passage of the story.
Absolutely. Awake leaves us with some incredibly unsettling questions, doesn't it? About the nature of truth, memory, sanity, and control. It's a story that really, really lingers. Maybe it leaves us with this final provocative thought. What if the greatest horrors aren't out there, lurking in the shadows somewhere, but actually trapped deep within our own minds, just waiting for us to remember them?
That's a chilling thought to end on, and the lasting impact of a narrative like this is exactly that, how it forces a profound self-reflection, making you question the reliability of your own perceptions, your own memories. It's a powerful, unsettling reading experience that truly earns its place in the Dark Passages collection.
Absolutely. What a ride. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Chris Stone's Awake. Join us next week when we review the next story in the Dark Passages collection.